of the United States. Americans don't understand this. Al-Qaeda knows this, right? So this is new and innovative, especially now. You don't have to walk outside of the building. You can walk in the building because of the advancement of the vest. The other thing is, in the United States, we haven't had Fideian attackers. So the concept is the terrorist fights to the death. So he's not exactly a suicide bomber, but he will fight till either all of us are dead or all of his people are dead. We think it's going to be a swarming attack, right? Multiple different attacks at one time across multiple cities. We think there will be suicide bombers just because some of the attackers went through suicide bomber training and they have these vests. And then we think there's these Fideian attackers who will carry on until they're killed.
Just rephrase that. So these guys are trained and they are going to fight until they're killed.
Yes, and that matters, right? So I was watching this video and it was a suicide bombing in Kabul years ago. The bomber blew up and then everyone starts moving in. The first responders move in, right? And then another guy walks in and blows up. We know this is a tactic. But if Americans don't understand this as a tactic and don't understand these attackers are going to fight to the death, think about that. Battle's going on. The attacker surrenders. He might have the suicide vest. You know, we let our guard down. That man came to die, right? He's going to fight till he dies or you die. So we can't let our guards down, and they know our weakness. So we have to be very careful that we don't have more people die in these second and third order effects of not knowing their intent.
Do you know everything you need to know about car accidents? Are you prepared for the aftermath of a car accident? Let's find out.
I'm concerned about a cell sitting inside America today. We just caught 18 people just last month on the FBI terrorist watch list coming across our border. More than 160 have done it this year, a record breaking. When we're looking around the Middle East and the uprisings popping up around Europe and others, they could be sleeper cells right now in America, but this administration has done nothing to change what's happening on the southern border.
We have to step up together, building the broadest and deepest coalition to strengthen.
According to the memos reviewed by CBS in New Orleans in 2017, when they talked about possibly limiting traffic altogether in that area, bollards aside, one of the city memos said businesses weren't keen on that because they want to have traffic culture. They want the business. That's always a balancing act. It's easy to revisionist history, the decisions made, but cities across the country have to consider that too.
Right. If you're going to put bollards up and then you're going to put squad cars up and then you're going to put big trucks on top or on reinforced as a layer or in front of the police cars, then what kind of atmosphere are you creating for those who want to have a safe pedestrian experience?
Doesn't say
they feel like they're in an armed camp.
Yeah.
And businesses understandably worry and fret about that.
And I mention this because there is at this point, as this day evolves, some symmetry between an incident in Las Vegas and in New Orleans. There was an explosion of a car near the Trump Hotel in the Las Vegas Strip area.
We see that on video right now.
According to our latest CBS News reporting, somebody in that car is dead. They don't know if it's a man or a woman. You see the scope and size of that explosion. There are injuries too, and there's an investigation underway as to whether there are other explosives in the area. You have two different events on the same day, both in that business district where there are people, where there are crowds. And if there's a connective tissue between the two, we expect it to come out. But again, you have to make these decisions as city leaders. How far do you want to go now? Do you want to put bollards around the entire business district? Do you want to do what Washington, D.C. will do January 20th, put huge salt trucks on all the on-ramps and off-ramps to say, we don't want anybody coming around here? In that case, for the inauguration, it makes a lot of sense. But businesses and cities will grapple with how much do we want to tell people, stay away.
Yeah, and best laid plans, Major. You can plan and plan and plan. But as we heard from Chief of Police Kirkpatrick today, she said we did indeed have a plan. The terrorists defeated it.
We are now taking a live look at Bourbon Street in New Orleans, where a man from Houston intentionally plowed a pickup truck into a crowd just hours into the new year. Investigators are calling the incident an act of terror. And officials say at least 14 people and the driver are dead. Dozens more were injured. Investigators believe the attack may have been inspired by ISIS. We caution some of the images you're about to see may be disturbing. Here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
This morning, the careful work of gathering evidence continues just over 24 hours after carnage on New Orleans' most famous street. New video shows the speed of the pickup truck that plowed into people, killing at least 15 and injuring many more.
We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
Surveillance video shows the truck flying an ISIS flag coming down Canal Street around 3:15 a.m. before turning onto Bourbon and speeding into the crowd.
We ran one way, so like about 5 feet away from the curb, and we ran into the bar to be protected by the little divot.
Authorities identifying the suspect as 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen and Army veteran from Texas, who they say was inspired by ISIS to kill. They say he was speeding down Bourbon wearing body armor and firing an AR-style rifle out of the truck, racing about 3 blocks before crashing, stepping out and opening fire again, wounding 2 police officers. Inside that rented Ford F-150, authorities say they found multiple homemade pipe bombs packed with nails. Sources tell ABC News on that flagpole is a black flag bearing the ISIS insignia. A fire at an Airbnb near Bourbon Street yesterday morning is now reportedly being linked to Jabbar. Officials say it appears explosive devices associated with the attack were made at that property. Officials say steel bollards installed on the street were unreliable and were in the process of being replaced ahead of the Super Bowl in February. Vehicles had been placed as blockades, but there were gaps.
We had barriers there, we had officers there, and they still got around. So we did indeed have a plan, but the terrorists defeated it.
City officials say they questioned the construction timeline, wondering why the replacement didn't happen months ago.
This construction should have happened much earlier, and everything really should have been ready and in place, fixed, repaired, ready to go now.
Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
We're now learning that a Virginia man was arrested several weeks ago by the FBI after investigators discovered he was in possession of hundreds of explosives. Brad Spafford was arrested December 17th at his farm in Isle of Wight. While executing a search warrant on the property, investigators found what they called a stockpile of more than 150 homemade improvised explosive devices that were assessed to be pipe bombs, according to prosecutors. They say some of those pipe bombs were labeled lethal and preloaded into an apparent wearable vest. The FBI says it is the largest cache of finished explosive devices confiscated in the Bureau's history.